Well, it looks like Zippo is back at it with some more leaks. And I'm not typically one to necessarily report on Zippo leaks or speculation, but there's more to this than just Zippo. And from leaks and rumors, it looks like Sonic Heroes might be getting a remake. And if you're not in the loop, here's exactly what's going on in the Sonic world right now. Zippo, a very well-known leaker, has had a lot of spotty reports, but he's been pretty dead on some reports, and he's a pretty credible leaker. He stated that one of these various games is going to be remade, and the various games that were on that list were Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, Sonic Heroes, Sonic 06, and Sonic Unleashed. And that left speculation and wondering what game is going to end up being remade out of this list. But another leaker has come forward and stated that it's going to be Sonic Heroes. Now, this leaker isn't typically someone that leaks Sonic games, but it's actually typically a Persona leaker. This Persona leaker has been pretty dead on in the past and has been leaking Sonic stuff recently. For instance, they were one of the first people to report that Sonic X Shadow Generations was in the works, and they also had their hands in reporting that Sonic Toys Party is coming soon, which is a fancy way of saying Sonic Fall Guys, which it actually looks pretty interesting, but I'm not going to talk on it because this continues to get taken down on YouTube every time it's posted. And this Persona leaker actually commented on a picture of Sonic Heroes, saying that this is correct information, being that it's going to be remade, but there is no Sonic Adventure remake right now. Now, by all means, we should definitely take this with a grain of salt, but by all means, we definitely should be expecting this to happen, as it seems like these are pretty credible leakers, and I could definitely see Sega going forward with this. And it definitely seems like Sega's been going down the road with remakes and also porting over games to modern consoles in the likes of Sonic Origins and Sonic Colors Ultimate. And I, for one, really like Sonic Heroes, and I'm super excited to see what they can do in a potential remake. But I'm genuinely surprised to see how much hate this game has actually kind of gotten over the past couple days since this has been leaked. It seems like just about every single report that I've seen about this is actually people complaining about the game and how much they actually disliked Sonic Heroes. Which is actually pretty surprising to see, because I thought this was a pretty well received within the Sonic community, but I guess not. Now, one of the arguments I actually kind of understand, and I'm kind of there with them. Zippo stated that there are 5 games that potentially could have been getting a remake within this list. And out of all of these games, why did they pick Heroes out of all of them? But I mean, by all means, shouldn't the adventure games be the ones getting the remake here? Adventure games are definitely well overdue for remakes and definitely well deserving. And you would think that this would be the right business decision, especially with Sonic Movie 3 right around the corner and releasing this around that time. I even stated in one of my previous videos that I think Adventure 2 might be getting a remake because of that fact. And I get that Shadow is in Sonic Heroes, but considering that the movie 3 is probably going to take heavy inspiration from that game, it would have made the most sense. Now, I've looked at a lot of reviews and different thoughts and opinions on the matter of Sonic Heroes being remade, but I'd actually like to agree with Sam's Procrastinate here. He states in his video that he believes that Sega very well knows just how big of game Adventure is, and if they were to mess those up, how bad it would look for them. There is so much risk involved with remaking the Adventure games, as if they were to mess those up, fans would go absolutely insane. And I think it's a very similar opinion to have on Unleashed as well, is many people have been crying and pleading to Sega saying that they want Unleashed on modern consoles. And I definitely understand that argument, as I'm one person that has always said that Sonic Unleashed needs to come to modern day consoles and PC. It's extremely well deserved, and it's one of the best looking Sonic games and has some of the coolest levels inside of it. And remaking that game and putting on a different engine or possibly changing a lot about the game could potentially make this the best Sonic game out there. You could even say the same for Sonic 06, as 06 is definitely a game that is completely rushed and is an entire mess, and many people know that. But the fact of the matter is, so many people would expect so much from Sonic 06, and there'd be so much work to be done on that game. You would basically have to build that game from the ground up. Very similar to what Project 06 is already doing, this would take a lot of time to remake whether they like it or not. There's so much wrong with the game that they would have to fix, and that would take a lot of time, especially if they're just trying to push out a remake real quick. So ultimately, I think Sonic Heroes is the safest option for Sega. Sonic Heroes is already a pretty solid game at that, and how much more could they really mess it up in a remake? I definitely understand that the controls are one of the worst parts of the games, and you completely slide off absolutely everything in this game, but it doesn't deny the fact how great the game actually is. Having multiple playable characters and teams, having a unique level design, some great level design, and being one of the most unique Sonic games out there. I actually really enjoyed the idea of having a speed, flying, and power character and having to switch between them in the stage. And before Superstars and Frontiers, one of the biggest problems I had with Sonic in recent years was we only ever played as Sonic. And Sonic Heroes kind of throws that out the window, as yes, the mainline story is completely surrounded by Sonic, you don't always play as Sonic and his team. The team stories aren't all that vastly different, but are still very unique in their own ways. Team Sonic being your more normal gameplay style and just running to the goal, and Team Dark being very similar to that, to getting to the goal, but actually being a little bit harder of a difficulty to Team Sonic. And then you have the Chaotix, which are completely the most unique team out of it, where you're just finding different things and doing a different detective work throughout the game, which actually fits them really well, so I definitely don't mind that story at all. It definitely can get really annoying if you miss something up and have to go back to the beginning of the stage, but hey, I think it definitely fits the Chaotix super well. But ultimately what I'm getting at is this could potentially open up for options for other teams. This could open up for an option of a metal team with the likes of Metal Sonic, Metal Knuckles, or like Tails Doll or an Egg Robo or Gamma. You could open up a team like that. Or even potentially bringing over like Team Silver with having the likes of Silver, Blaze, and Marine. There's a lot of options you could potentially do with teams, and these could be insane options to add to a remake and giving it a lot more gameplay. And ultimately would probably bring back a lot of people that are skeptical about going into this game. Another option that I'd actually really like to see, and I really hope they consider doing this if this leak is true, is team customization. I think it would be really cool to be able to customize your own team to have the likes of Sonic, Shadow, and Espio on the same team. Now, I don't know how that would necessarily be possible considering they're all speed characters, but it would be really cool to see if that's something Sega did. Now, I know that's a pretty extreme expectation, and you can definitely see the likes of probably just cosmetics and maybe some new levels in the remake, and that's probably all they're really going to give us. But hey, one can dream, right? The other question is, who would be making this game? As it seems like Sonic Team already has their hands tied with Sonic X Shadow Generations, it seems like they're pretty occupied with that right now. Could this be another team outside of Sega, or just another team that is within Sega? Or could this just be a team that has never worked on a Sonic game in their life? Who knows? It'll be really exciting to see who potentially works on this game and how they do it, and that could definitely affect the gameplay style of the game. And also the same thing with the engine. What engine is this game going to run on? Because the engine that Sonic Heroes ended up running on back in the day doesn't exist anymore. Could this still be a Hedgehog engine, or could this potentially be like something like UE5? That would be insane to see, and just how beautiful the graphics would look like in Heroes. As Hero has a pretty wide variety of stages, and very unique stages at that. A lot of these stages could look super beautiful if done right and put on the right engine. But it'll be really interesting to see, considering that Render Wave is no longer an engine anymore that Heroes originally ran on back in the day. But ultimately, I really don't understand the hate for this game. It seems like the only reviews and Twitter posts that I ever see is just people saying how much they actually hate Sonic Heroes. Which, like I said before, I thought it was a pretty well received game, and ultimately kind of hurts my heart considering how big this game was in my childhood. If they can genuinely fix the slipperiness and the bad controls in this game will run fine, and that alone I think is a reason to remake this game. But you can't deny how cool it is to see all these characters jam-packed in one game and being able to play as so many unique characters in the game. And also having some super unique level design and some of the coolest level design we've seen. I mean, genuinely, Egg Fleet, Final Fortress, Frog Forest, all the casino levels, I mean, hey, this game has some unique and crazy designs and some of the most lovable in my opinion. Except Hang Castle. I absolutely despise that place and I don't ever want to get lost in there again, but it's seeming like I'm gonna have to. I for one am somebody that would really like to see the Heroes games remade, and I definitely think that this is a good option to pick from. I don't think it was necessarily the best option, but this doesn't weigh out the option of the adventure games getting remade in the future. And if they were to remake those games in the future, I hope they truly take their time with those, as I don't want some rushed mess or something that is barely little of change. One of the only expectations I really have for this game is fixing some of the controls and maybe adding a little bit more to the game. Whether that be a new team or a new stage, whatever it might be, I would really like to see that within Heroes. And I can't wait to truly see whoever's working on this game and what they can do with Heroes. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you excited to see a Sonic Heroes remake potentially happen, or would you have preferred one of the other games that Zippo listed? I'd love to see what you guys say in the comments below, even if you agree or disagree with me. But with all that being said, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.